So I'm going to show you how to make 2 different types of feet. The first one is a tripod foot, which is what I recommend for a really sturdy, steady leaf bowl, especially one that's like, you know, long and skinny like this. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to measure out your clay to make sure you have equal amounts of clay. So I like to do that by rolling myself a thick coil, and then I take a tool and I cut a section. So this section is the amount of clay. It might not end up being that shape, but it's the amount of clay that I'm going to use for each of my feet. And I'm going to measure like this. And even if you're changing the shape, starting by measuring like this and making sure you have the same amount of clay, it helps you come up with the, you know, kind of equal sized things. Okay, so we've got these 3 equal sized pieces of clay, and now I get to decide what shape of foot do I want. I think I'm gonna actually sort of pinch and pull this into a little bit more of a cone shape, and then I'm gonna tap on the bottom to flatten the back. And now I'm gonna make my other 2 match. So I need a ball, and then I pinched and pulled. And about halfway through, I'll tap, 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 and then I'm making pairs as I go. This could be a little bit longer and narrower, so I'll pull and pinch a little more. That's pretty close. Okay, the 3rd one. Just rotating my hands around, gently pinching and pulling the clay. And again, I want to make this sort of like a tripod, so I'm going to line these up kind of like this. So I'm going to really gently test it. Let's see if it feels right. That feels great. So I know that I need to scrub about here. And I know I need to scrub kind of wide over here. And I know I need to scrub right there. I'm going to do the same thing on my feet, just making a little bit of slip on the surface of the clay. And then I will take my needle tool and I will add the scoring marks, scratching it up, kind of making myself a little tic-tac-toe board. And compression is what is going to make this stick together. So I want to make sure that I support my clay. So you might put your hand underneath it. Definitely going to want to leave the paper towel under there. And I'm pressing and wiggling the leg. And I know it's pretty well stuck when I tug on it, and it feels like a magnet. It's not going to pop off easily. It's here. Trying not to squeeze and resize my feet too much. They're still pretty soft. Okay, and then again, I'm going to test it and make sure that it sits how I like. I might even wiggle it a little bit to make sure it's going to, okay. You're going to make a slab of clay, and you need it to be really even. So you're going to get a couple of rulers, and the rulers are going to act like train tracks, so that when you roll over the top of this clay, it can't get any thinner than the ruler. It's going to be perfectly even across. Leaf bowl here, and I found a circle that fits on the bottom of my leaf bowl. So that's about the right size for me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to make this foot into a little donut. All right, with a smaller circle, I'm going to cut the middle out. When it goes through the kiln, it will cause cracking if it doesn't get dried in between those layers. Okay, so there's my little donut. This part's going to go back into the recycle bin. And now I'm going to decide where I want this to go. So I line it up. I'm going to really gently test it. Kind of like it right there. And then I'm going to just briefly, lightly kind of trace on here so I can see where I want to score my clay. And now I'm going to grab my toothbrush. And I'm going to scrub both sides. And I'm going to score them up. And again, line these up where I want them. And then supporting my clay from both sides, I'm going to give it a little bit of compression. And I'm going to scrub both sides. And I'm going to score them up. And again, line these up where I want them. And then supporting my clay from both sides, I'm going to give it a little bit of compression. Here. So So make sure to put your full name, no initials, please. It's okay if it's just your first or just your last, but no initials. And then you put your period number. You want to flip it over, pull the paper out for a minute, smooth it out with your fingers again. Any little bit that looks sort of chunky on the edges is going to be really sharp when it comes out of the kiln. So you could even come back in here with your paintbrush or with a sponge. But mostly you need to do the job with your fingers, just kind of giving your clay a massage. Put my paper towel back in to support it. And then this whole thing I'm going to take a photo of with the document camera, and I will put it onto part number 1 to dry out, to bone dry, and go into the kiln.